The world's most cursed artifacts. This video delves into specific objects, detailing their alleged curses, notable incidents, and any available skeptical analysis. Part 1. Objects of Dread. The world's most cursed artifacts. This section explores infamous cursed objects, detailing their alleged histories, notable tragedies, and skeptical perspectives. The goal is to present these stories in a gripping yet balanced manner, blending intrigue with critical analysis. 1. The Hope Diamond, a legacy of misfortune. The saga of the Hope Diamond, a breathtaking deep blue gem shrouded in tales of malevolence, begins in the 17th century. According to legend, French merchant Jean-Baptiste Tavernier stole the diamond from a statue of the Hindu goddess Sita in India. Wilhelm Falls, the jeweler who recut the stone, reportedly died in misery. The Hope Diamond rests harmlessly in the Smithsonian Museum, its curse seemingly dormant or perhaps never real at all. Its story remains a fascinating case study in how myth, commerce, and fear can transform an object into a legend. And newspapers in the 19th and early 20th centuries to boost the diamond, its mystique in its market value. The claim that it was plucked from a sacred idol has little evidence, and the curse's most dramatic stories emerged only after the gem became a sensationalized commodity. This reveals a key truth about so-called cursed artifacts. Their power often stems not from supernatural forces, but from human storytelling, greed, and psychological suggestion. American heiress Evelyn Walsh McLean, who wore it frequently, suffered immense personal tragedies. Even James Todd, a mailman who delivered the diamond to the Smithsonian, allegedly faced bizarre accidents afterward. Tavernier himself is said to have died of fever, his body devoured by wolves, a fittingly grim end for the man accused of stealing it. Marie-Louise, Princess de Lamballe, who supposedly wore the gem, met a horrific fate during the Revolution. Her severed head paraded on a pike. From there, it passed through the hands of French royalty, including King Louis XIV and later Louis XVI and Marie Antoinette, both of whom met gruesome ends during the French Revolution. Stories claim that the diamond carries a curse, dooming its owners to tragedy and death, a narrative that has persisted for centuries. The diamond's dark reputation is fueled by a string of misfortunes tied to its owners. Yet skepticism surrounds these tales. Historians argue that the curse was largely a fabrication, crafted by jewelers today.
Be sure to like, subscribe to Is It Real, and share this video. But if you choose to ignore me, well, let's just say you've been warned.
2. The Dybbuk Box, a cabinet of malevolence. The tale of the Dybbuk Box, seemingly ordinary wine cabinet, began its journey into infamy in 2001 when an antiques dealer acquired it at an estate sale. Shortly after bringing it home, reports of supernatural activity began. The dealer claimed the cabinet was haunted by a Dybbukon, evil spirit from Jewish folklore known to torment the living. Despite its alleged cursed nature, the box gained significant notoriety and was eventually acquired by paranormal investigator Zach Bagans for his haunted museum in Las Vegas. The Dybbuk Box serves as a textbook example of how a fabricated narrative, amplified by media and human suggestibility, can evolve into widely believed modern folklore. It challenges the very notion of real cursed artifacts, exposing them as products of human creativity, psychological projection, and media hype. The Dybbuk Box compels us to examine how such stories are born, spread, and ultimately take on a life of their own in popular culture. Even after being debunked by its creator, the legend persists, demonstrating the powerful role media plays in perpetuating compelling stories regardless of their factual basis. Its infamy grew further when rapper Post Malone reportedly experienced a series of misfortunes, including a car accident and a private plane malfunction requiring an emergency landing after coming into contact with the box on Bagan's show. However, the story takes a revealing turn. Evidence suggests the curse was a modern fabrication. Kevin Manis, the original creator of the Dybbuk Box legend, openly admitted it was conceived as an interactive horror story. He crafted the tale as a form of personal catharsis, even constructing the box during Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. Manis confirmed giving the box to his mother on Halloween, after which she suffered a stroke, though he later stated she had put on an act for a paranormal television show. This admission directly contradicts the supernatural claims that captivated audiences for years. The phenomenon reveals how easily a false origin story, once sensationalized, can create a cursed object in the public consciousness. It challenges the very notion of real cursed artifacts, exposing them as products of human creativity, psychological projection, and media hype. The debunk box compels us to examine how such stories are born, spread, and ultimately take on a life of their own in popular culture. 3. The Crying Boy Paintings. Flames of Folklore. A British newspaper article titled "Blazing Curse of the Crying Boy" sparked a nationwide panic after reporting that a couple's house had burned down. The media frenzy grew so intense that the newspaper offered to destroy the artworks for frightened owners, leading to the mass burning of more than 2,500 paintings. Stark example of how fear can spread like wildfire, with only their crying boy paintings surviving the flames. A single strange coincidence, sensationalized by the press, created a self-perpetuating legend. The newspaper didn't just report the story, it actively validated the fear, turning cheap decor into dreaded artifacts. The crying boy panic demonstrates how easily collective belief can override reason, transforming mundane objects into vessels for our deepest anxieties with very real consequences. The Crying Boy, painting seemingly innocent, mass-produced prints by artist Giovanni Bragolini from the 1950s, became objects of terror in 1985. The story claimed that since 1973, over 50 home fires had eerily spared these paintings. While no scientific study officially debunked the curse, the phenomenon clearly reveals how psychology fuels such myths. The sheer number of these mass-produced paintings meant they were statistically likely to survive some fires purely by chance. Yet once the idea took hold, people began seeing patterns where none existed, ignoring all the homes where these paintings hung harmlessly for decades. This is a textbook case of confirmation bias and media amplification. Robert the Doll and Annabelle. Toys turned terrifying. The realm of cursed objects often extends to the seemingly innocent, transforming children's toys into figures of dread. Robert the Doll and the Annabelle doll are two prominent examples, each with their own chilling narratives. Robert the handmade doll from the early 20th century, critics such as science writer Sharon A. Hill, this inherent discomfort, combined with human tendencies towards pareidolia, brain's propensity to perceive familiar patterns in random stimuli and suggestibility, forms a powerful basis for attributing malevolent agency to them. Jean Otto's childhood blame, visitors' apologies to Robert, the Warrens' sensationalized claims about Annabelle, all illustrate how human fears, anxieties, and narratives are projected onto these inanimate objects. The demonic doll trope is also deeply embedded in popular culture, providing a pre-existing framework for interpreting strange occurrences. This phenomena underscores how human psychology, cultural narratives, and media influence can transform ordinary objects into terrifying cursed entities, suggesting that the curse is often a product of our own minds and the stories we tell rather than an inherent property of the object itself. Argue that many of the myths and legends surrounding the Warrens have seemingly been of their own doing, and that the real life Annabelle is actually far less impressive than her cinematic counterpart. The Warrens' work, including their involvement in the Amityville horror case, has been almost entirely debunked. Furthermore, the physical appearance of the movie doll is significantly different from the actual Raggedy Ann doll. Robert resides at the Fort East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida. Visitors to the museum reportedly experience electronic malfunctions in his presence. The museum receives a flood of apology letters from those who believe they suffered misfortunes, such as car accidents, broken bones, job loss, and divorce after disrespecting Robert or taking his photo without permission. The museum's own narrative acknowledges Jean Otto's unhealthy relationship with the doll. The phenomenon of apology letters strongly indicates confirmation bias, where individuals attribute subsequent misfortunes to their perceived transgression against the doll. The doll's unsettling appearance also likely triggers the uncanny valley effect, a psychological phenomenon where objects that look almost human, but not quite, trigger subconscious discomfort. This discomfort, combined with a predisposition to interpret ambiguous events as sinister, contributes to the perception of the doll's malevolence, is manufactured by the Steph Company. He was the constant companion of young Jean Otto, who famously blamed his misdeeds on the doll, declaring, "I didn't do it. Robert did it." This unusual relationship continued into Otto's adulthood, with the doll often visible at an upstairs window of his home, the artist's house. After Otto's death in 1974, subsequent caretakers like Myrtle Reuter also reported strange occurrences, including hearing footsteps and giggling, and claims that Robert's expression changed when Otto was bad-mouthed. Doll Robert is a unique doll. A Raggedy Ann doll is famously housed in the now-closed Occult Museum of Paranormal Investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren. She was placed there after alleged hauntings began in 1970. The initial owners, two young nurses, reported the doll behaving strangely, moving on its own, following them about the apartment, and even leaving handwritten notes. The Warrens, who concluded the doll was demonically possessed, claimed it was responsible for psychic slashes and near-disastrous incidents, including brake failures in their car. Out today, Annabelle the Annabelle doll. Despite its fame in cinematic portrayals, there is no evidence that Annabelle is actually haunted. Both Robert and Annabelle, as dolls, inherently tap into the uncanny valley effect, a psychological response where near-human objects evoke a sense of unease. 5. The Bassano vase, a deadly Italian relic. The legend of the Bassano vase, simple silver vessel, dates back to 15th century Italy. The story claims that the vase was given to a bride-to-be, who was later found dead on her wedding night, clutching the vase. Subsequent owners, including a pharmacist, a surgeon, and an archaeologist, all purportedly met swift, mysterious ends after acquiring it. Due to its notorious reputation, no museum would accept the vase, leading a police officer to reportedly rebury it in a secret cemetery, where it has not been seen since. The curse allegedly began there. A family member inherited the vase and also died quickly, a pattern of swift, mysterious deaths that repeated a third time. This grim sequence of events led a priest to reportedly bury the vase on hallowed ground to contain its malevolence. The vase mysteriously reappeared 500 years later, in the late 1980s, and the curse allegedly continued its deadly path. The available information provides no explicit skeptical analysis of the Bassano vase curse. However, the descriptions highlight key characteristics of folklore. The story is primarily passed by word of mouth, with details often vague and lacking in the area of eyewitness testimony and concrete evidence. The individuals involved are consistently unnamed, and specific details vary from story to story. This suggests that the narrative functions more as a cautionary tale or an urban legend than a verifiable historical curse. Theories proposed by the public include coincidence, poisoned metal, or demonic attachment. The Bassano vase narrative stands out as a classic example of folklore primarily sustained through oral tradition. The consistent mention of vague details, unnamed individuals, and the absence of documented cases and eyewitness accounts are critical indicators. Its contrasts with objects like the Hope Diamond, which has documented historical figures, or the Dybbuk box, which has a known modern origin. The lack of concrete evidence for the Bassano vase means its existence, as a cursed object is almost entirely within the realm of collective narrative and cultural memory. This illustrates how some cursed objects are more products of enduring storytelling than verifiable historical phenomena, highlighting the challenge of separating genuine historical events from embellished folklore and serving as a reminder that the power of a story can be just as compelling as factual evidence. 6. Other notorious cursed objects beyond the deeply explored cases. Numerous other objects across history and folklore are said to carry malevolent energies, bringing misfortune, or worse, to those who encounter them. These stories often share common narrative threads, reinforcing a human tendency to attribute tragic events to supernatural causation. Legend states he cursed the chair he frequented, declaring anyone who sat in it would suffer his fate. Following his death, the car's parts were reportedly involved in further accidents and misfortunes. Zach Bagans later purchased the transaxle of the infamous car, displaying it in his haunted museum. The owners claimed it was haunted and caused disturbing phenomena, leading them to sell it. Several reported deaths of those who dared to sit in it have lent credibility to the curse, Its whereabouts have been unknown since it was sold to an anonymous buyer in 2006. Skeptical analysis, however, suggests the chair itself might not be original to the 1700s, raising questions about the authenticity of the alleged curse. The Busby Stoop Chair. In 1702, Thomas Busby was hanged for murdering his father-in-law. James Dean's little bastard Porsche 550 Spider. Actor James Dean tragically died in a car accident in 1955 while driving this car, which he had nicknamed Little Bastard. Black Orlov Diamond. This diamond is said to have brought misfortune and death to its owners, including 3 Russian princesses who allegedly jumped to their deaths. The Hands Resist Him painting, created in 1972 by William Stoneham. This painting gained widespread prominence when it appeared on eBay in 2000. The Woman from Lem's statue, a marble figurine from Cyprus, mentioned as one of the world's most cursed objects. The specific incidents are not detailed in the provided information. The Tallman bunk beds, purchased secondhand in 1987. The children sleeping in them reported seeing an old woman with black hair. The father, Alan, confronted the entity, which then reportedly began to stalk him. See the Iceman, discovered in 1991. This 5,300-year-old mummy became associated with an alleged curse, after several people, connected to his discovery or research, died prematurely. These included Rainer Henn, Kurt Fritz, Rainer Holzel, Helmut Simon, and Konrad Spindler. Skeptics, however, point out that it's easy to create patterns when you are looking for them, and many other scientists and journalists involved with CIE have gone on to live full lives. This highlights a cognitive bias, where individuals actively seek connections between unrelated unfortunate events and a perceived curse. Tomb of Tutankhamun, the infamous mummy's curse, gained widespread attention after the opening of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922 and the subsequent death of Lord Carnarvon, who financed the excavation. While initially attributed to a supernatural curse, later scientific explanations suggested the deaths were due to exposure to deadly fungi or bacteria within the tomb. Modern scholarship views Egyptian mummy curses as primarily cultural constructs, evolving from ancient protective warnings to sensationalized horror tropes. Across these diverse, allegedly cursed objects, a striking pattern emerges. The curse almost universally manifests as death, misfortune, or inexplicable accidents, befalling those who possess or disturb the object. This suggests a common narrative archetype deeply embedded in human folklore, where valuable, ancient, or unique items are imbued with protective or vengeful powers. The curse often serves as a retrospective explanation for a series of unfortunate events. The CI case explicitly highlights the cognitive bias at play, stating that it's easy to create patterns when you are looking for them, directly addressing the human tendency to connect unrelated events. The Tutankhamun curse further illustrates this by showing how initial supernatural attributions later yielded to scientific explanations, such as fungi or bacteria, yet the compelling power of the folklore persists. This recurring theme underscores humanity's inherent desire to find order and causation in a chaotic world, especially when confronted with tragedy. It demonstrates how cultural narratives shape our interpretation of events, and how scientific advancements can demystify phenomena, even as the compelling power of the original folklore endures. Part 2. Unraveling the Unknown. Historical Mysteries that Persist. This section explores historical enigmas, focusing on the facts, prevailing theories, and the reasons why they remain unsolved, offering a blend of intrigue and critical thinking. 7. The Lost Colony of Roanoke, a vanished settlement. The Roanoke colony, established in 1587 on the shores of what is now North Carolina, was intended to be the first permanent English settlement in North America. Led by Governor John White, his return to England for supplies was unexpectedly delayed by 3 years due to the Anglo-Spanish War. One prominent and increasingly accepted theory suggests the colonists peacefully assimilated with local Native American peoples, specifically the Croatoan tribe, who lived on an island south of Roanoke. The likelihood of this mystery being definitively solved is considered pretty much at zero, leaving it as one of history's most enduring and baffling enigmas. The Roanoke mystery is a prime example of a historical enigma, where the primary obstacle to resolution is the scarcity and ambiguity of primary evidence, the only clue being a single carved word: forces. historians to rely heavily on interpretation and circumstantial archaeological findings. The existence of multiple, plausible yet unproven theories highlights the inherent difficulty in definitively reconstructing events from centuries past when records are incomplete or potentially biased. The low likelihood of resolution underscores the profound limits of historical inquiry. This mystery serves as a powerful reminder that not all unexplained phenomena have supernatural origins. Many are simply gaps in historical knowledge. It emphasizes how the human mind attempts to fill these gaps with theories, maintaining the allure of the unknown precisely because a definitive answer remains elusive. Archaeological finds, such as 16th-century European artifacts, discovered at Native American sites inland, lend significant weight to this assimilation theory. Alternatively, some theories posit that the colonists might have been killed by hostile indigenous people who viewed them as intruders. Another speculation suggests the colonists attempted to sail back to England on their own and were lost at sea. A tragic encounter with rival Spanish colonists moving north from Florida is also a proposed theory. A more provocative theory suggests a cabal, possibly masterminded by Sir Francis Walsingham. Queen Elizabeth I, Secretary of State, deliberately stranded the colonists. This could have led to some deaths, but also many being taken as slaves and dispersed through an Indian trading network. Upon his eventual return to Roanoke in 1590, he found that all 115 English colonists, including his own family, had vanished without a trace. The only clues left behind were the word Croatoan, carved into a palisade and crow into a tree. Crucially, there were no signs of struggle or violence at the deserted settlement. Several leading theories attempt to explain this profound disappearance. Despite centuries of extensive research, including modern archaeological digs and even DNA analysis from local families, the true fate of the Roanoke colony remains unknown. The likelihood of this mystery being definitively solved is considered pretty much at zero, leaving it as one of history's most enduring and baffling enigmas. The Roanoke mystery is a prime example of a historical enigma, where the primary obstacle to resolution is the scarcity and ambiguity of primary evidence. The only clue being a single carved word forces historians to rely heavily on interpretation and circumstantial archaeological findings. The existence of multiple, plausible, yet unproven theories highlights the inherent difficulty in definitively reconstructing events from centuries past when records are incomplete or potentially biased. Theories of foul play, such as mutiny, piracy, or insurance fraud, were extensively considered at the salvage hearings in Gibraltar. But no convincing evidence supported these theories. Highly fictionalized short story about a Marie Celeste in 1884? This story, though factually inaccurate, popularized the mystery, demonstrating how a compelling narrative can embed a historical event into collective consciousness more effectively than factual investigation. The mystery continues to inspire storytellers, with Season 4 of True Detective drawing partial inspiration from it. The Mary Celeste case is a compelling example where the mysterious cultural impact significantly outweighs the possibility of a definitive factual resolution. Despite official inquiries and various scientific theories, the mystery remains unresolved. The crucial aspect here is the role of Arthur Conan Doyle's fictionalized account. His story, though factually inaccurate, popularized the mystery, illustrating how a compelling narrative can embed a historical event into collective consciousness more effectively than factual investigation. This mystery highlights humanity's inherent preference for intriguing stories, even unresolved ones, over potentially mundane or inconclusive explanations. It suggests that mysteries persist, not just due to a lack of evidence, but because they fulfill a psychological need for wonder, intrigue, and the dramatic, often becoming powerful cultural touchstones. Early fantastical explanations, ranging from encounters with sea monsters to natural disasters, also lacked any supporting evidence. In 2006, a chemistry professor proposed that a non-damaging pressure wave type of explosion caused by the ship's cargo and an unknown spark frightened the crew into abandoning the vessel. However, this theory has been discounted by other researchers. Modern researchers suggest the captain might have abandoned the ship due to fears it could sink or explode. Other hypotheses include submarine earthquakes, waterspouts, giant squid attacks, and even paranormal intervention, The low likelihood of resolution underscores the profound limits of historical inquiry. This mystery serves as a powerful reminder that not all unexplained phenomena have supernatural origins. Many are simply gaps in historical knowledge. It emphasizes how the human mind attempts to fill these gaps with theories, maintaining the allure of the unknown precisely because a definitive answer remains elusive. The Mary Celeste, the ghost ship of the Atlantic. The Mary Celeste, an American merchant brigantine, was discovered drifting aimlessly near the Azores Islands in December 1872. Remarkably, the ship was found to be seaworthy and operable, yet completely abandoned. 10 individuals were aboard the ship: Captain Benjamin Briggs, his wife, their 2-year-old daughter, and a 7-man crew, all of whom had vanished without a trace. Investigators found 3.5 feet of water in the hold, a dismantled pump, and the ship's lifeboat missing. Despite these anomalies, the ship itself was in good condition. The salvage crew had no trouble sailing at 800 miles to Gibraltar. Various theories have been proposed to explain the abandonment, many of which have been debunked or remain unproven. The Mary Celeste mystery captured the popular imagination after Arthur Conan Doyle published a sensational, highly fictionalized short story about a Marie Celeste in 1884. This story, though factually inaccurate, popularized the mystery, demonstrating how a compelling narrative can embed a historical event into collective consciousness more effectively than factual investigation. The mystery continues to inspire storytellers, with Season 4 of True Detective drawing partial inspiration from it. The Mary Celeste case is a compelling example where the mystery's cultural impact significantly outweighs the possibility of a definitive factual resolution. Despite official inquiries and various scientific theories, the mystery remains unresolved. A 2021 study by EPFL and ETH Zurich further suggested that a specific type of slab avalanche could explain some of the unusual injuries. This theory posits that a combination of irregular topography, a cut made in the slope to install the tent, and subsequent snow deposition induced by strong katabatic winds could have led to a delayed slab release, causing severe but non-fatal injuries. However, arguments against an actual avalanche include the absence of clear avalanche signs, the unlikelihood of avalanche conditions in that specific area, a tent collapsing from the side rather than horizontally, experienced skiers not camping in an avalanche path, footprint patterns inconsistent with panic. Other theories include katabatic winds, infrasound-induced panic, military involvement, animal attacks, yetis, local tribesmen, a romantic dispute, and nuclear weapons tests. The crucial aspect here is the role of Arthur Conan Doyle's fictionalized account. His story, though factually inaccurate, popularized the mystery, illustrating how a compelling narrative can embed a historical event into collective consciousness more effectively than factual investigation. This mystery highlights humanity's inherent preference for intriguing stories, even unresolved ones, over potentially mundane or inconclusive explanations. It suggests that mysteries persist not just due to a lack of evidence, but because they fulfill a psychological need for wonder, intrigue, and the dramatic, often becoming powerful cultural touchstones. 9. The Dyatlov Pass Incident, a chilling mountain enigma. In February 1959, a group of 9 experienced Soviet ski hikers, led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, perished under mysterious and horrifying circumstances in the northern Ural Mountains. The discovery of their bodies and campsite presented a series of disturbing anomalies that have fueled decades of speculation. The hikers had fled into sub-zero temperatures without proper clothing, some found nearly naked despite the freezing conditions. Their bodies were discovered in 3 groups, with 6 dying of hypothermia and 3 from severe physical trauma, including fractured skulls and major chest injuries. These injuries were described as having been caused by a compelling natural force, or akin to a bad car crash. Bizarrely, some bodies exhibited missing eyes, 1 a missing tongue, and 1 missing eyebrows. Traces of radioactivity were also found on some of their clothes. The initial investigation was quickly closed and records sealed by Soviet authorities, further intensifying the mystery and fueling decades of speculation. Rescuers found their tent cut open from the inside, suggesting a frantic escape. Numerous theories have been proposed to explain the incident, Russia reopened an investigation in 2019, concluding in 2020 that a snow avalanche was the most probable cause. A 2021 study by EPFL and ETH Zurich further suggested that a specific type of slab avalanche could explain some of the unusual injuries. This theory posits that a combination of irregular topography, a cut made in the slope to install the tent, paradoxical undressing is a known symptom of hypothermia. The gruesome soft tissue damage can be explained by decomposition and animal scavenging. It was a strong, narrowband radio signal that lasted for exactly 72 seconds, originating from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius. Astronomer Jerry Emin, upon reviewing the data, was so astonished by its intensity that he circled the reading 6 EQUJ5 and wrote "Wow" next to it, giving the signal its famous name. The traces of radiation were consistent with everyday exposure from that period, especially given the widespread nuclear development and primitive radiation detection equipment of the late 1950s. Its frequency was precisely 1,420 megahertz, a protected spectrum reserved for astronomical research where terrestrial transmissions are forbidden. This frequency is particularly significant as it corresponds to the hydrogen line, the most abundant element in the universe, making it a theoretically ideal waterhole for interstellar communication that any intelligent civilization might use. For many, the signal's unique characteristics, its narrowband nature, its precise frequency, and timed duration bore striking hallmarks of an artificial, extraterrestrial origin. It remains a true mystery with potential implications unlike anything else in history, hinting at the possibility of intelligent life beyond Earth. Applying Occam's razor, the principle that the simplest explanation is usually correct. A scenario involving an avalanche, panic, hypothermia, and natural decomposition processes remains the most compelling for many researchers. This case powerfully illustrates that some of the most chilling unexplained phenomena are not necessarily supernatural, but rather the tragic and complex interplay of natural forces, human vulnerability, and psychological reactions to extreme stress. The initial sealing of records by Soviet authorities further fueled decades of conspiracy theories, demonstrating how a lack of transparency can amplify mystery and speculation. It underscores the importance of scientific rigor in unraveling complex real-world mysteries. Even when sensational details are present, and subsequent snow deposition induced by strong katabatic winds could have led to a delayed slab release causing severe but non-fatal injuries. However, arguments against an actual avalanche include the absence of clear avalanche signs, the unlikelihood of avalanche conditions in that specific area, the tent collapsing from the side rather than horizontally experienced skiers, not camping in an avalanche path, and footprint patterns inconsistent with panic. Other theories include katabatic winds, infrasound-induced panic, military involvement, animal attacks, yetis, local tribesmen, a romantic dispute, and nuclear weapons tests. Despite the sensational details, scientific analysis, particularly the 2021 study, suggests that a combination of natural phenomena can explain the evidence without resorting to elaborate conspiracies. 10. The WOW signal, a message from the cosmos. On August 15, 1977, Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope, then part of the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence project, detected an extraordinary signal. The signal's intensity displayed a near-perfect bell curve, gradually increasing for 36 seconds and then decreasing for another 36 seconds. As the telescope moved across its point of origin, its frequency was precisely 1,420 megahertz, a protected spectrum reserved for astronomical research where terrestrial transmissions are forbidden. This frequency is particularly significant as it corresponds to the hydrogen line, the most abundant element in the universe, making it a theoretically ideal waterhole for interstellar communication that any intelligent civilization might use. Jerry Emin himself initially considered an Earth source signal reflected off a piece of space debris, though he later somewhat recanted his skepticism due to the unrealistic requirements for such a reflector. In 2017, astronomer Antonio Paris suggested that two comets, Idard 66P, Christensen, and 335P, Gibbs, traveling within a hydrogen cloud, could have generated the signal. Interstellar scintillation, similar to atmospheric twinkling, could theoretically amplify a weaker continuous signal, making it detectable. A 2010 study documented instances of terrestrial sources, either interfering from adjacent frequency bands or illegally transmitting on the protected 1,420 MHz frequency. Telescope malfunction was also considered, but the signal's specific characteristics made this less likely. For many, the signal's unique characteristics, its narrowband nature, its precise frequency, and time duration bore striking hallmarks of an artificial extraterrestrial origin. It remains a true mystery, with potential implications unlike anything else in history, hinting at the possibility of intelligent life beyond Earth. Despite the tantalizing possibility of an extraterrestrial origin, several terrestrial interference theories have been proposed. The primary reason the WOW signal remains an enduring scientific mystery is its lack of repetition. Despite numerous follow-up attempts by the Big Ear and other, more sensitive radio telescopes, the signal has never been detected again. This lack of repeatability is a fundamental challenge for scientific verification. The WOW signal is a unique case because it represents a genuine scientific anomaly, not a piece of folklore. The rigorous scientific process involved in its detection and analysis, including its origin from a CDI project. Its protected frequency and its detailed signal characteristics elevates it beyond mere anecdote. The fact that its discoverer initially considered a terrestrial explanation, but later expressed reservations, highlights the scientific community's struggle with truly unexplained phenomena that defy easy categorization. This mystery underscores the vastness and complexity of the cosmos, and the potential for phenomena that lie beyond our current understanding. It embodies the very essence of scientific exploration, where even a single, unrepeatable data point can inspire decades of research and speculation, maintaining its profound allure precisely because it could be something truly extraordinary. 11. The Oak Island Money Pit, a treasure hunter's curse. The mystery of the Oak Island Money Pit began in 1795, when 3 teenagers discovered a circular depression in the ground, sparking the belief that treasure was buried beneath. Subsequent excavations revealed a meticulously constructed shaft with layers of logs or marks every 10 feet, tool marks on the walls, and a mysterious inscribed stone found at 80 to 90 feet. This belief is reinforced by the discovery of alleged flood tunnels connecting the pit to Smith, Scove, and other areas of the island. Oak Island is composed of 4 interconnected drumlins, geological formations of rock, sand, gravel, and clay, deposited by glaciers. The geological characteristics of Oak Island provide plausible natural explanations for features, often attributed to advanced engineering or booby traps. However, the presence of non-native artifacts, like coconut fiber and ancient European items, along with human bones found deep underground, continues to defy simple geological explanations, maintaining the allure of a deeper, unresolved mystery. The Oak Island Money Pit serves as an excellent case study in how natural formations can be interpreted through the lens of human desire and folklore, creating an enduring enigma that blends geological reality with the persistent hope of discovery. The eastern portion of the island, where the money pit is located, has bedrock primarily of gypsum and limestone, soft rocks that naturally erode in groundwater, creating sinkholes and cavities. This natural erosion could account for the circular depression and the cavern pit discovered later. Furthermore, layers of porous gravel below sea level within the drumlins could explain the persistent flooding, as seawater might naturally flow through these spaces, filling excavation pits and drill holes. This natural flow could easily be misinterpreted as an elaborate man-made flood tunnel system. Various hypotheses about the treasure's nature range from pirate gold to Shakespearean manuscripts, or even sacred relics like the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant, purportedly buried by the Knights Templar. Over 2 centuries of continuous efforts by treasure hunters have yielded numerous artifacts, including coconut fiber, ancient coins, tools, and a 500 to 600-year old lead cross, but no significant main treasure has ever been found. A curse on the treasure is also alleged, stating that 7 men will die in the search before it is found. 6 deaths have occurred during excavations. The pit repeatedly flooded with seawater, thwarting efforts to reach its depths. The persistent flooding is widely believed to be a sophisticated man-made booby trap or security system, designed to protect the treasure by flooding the pit when a certain depth is reached. Despite the compelling narrative of an elaborate man-made treasure vault, geological explanations offer a rational counter-perspective for some of the pit's mysterious features. This mystery highlights the interplay between natural geological phenomena and human interpretation. The geological characteristics of Oak Island provide plausible natural explanations for features often attributed to advanced engineering or booby traps. However, the presence of non-native artifacts like coconut fiber and ancient European items, along with human bones found deep underground, continues to defy simple geological explanations, maintaining the allure of a deeper, unresolved mystery. The Oak Island Money Pit serves as an excellent case study in how natural formations can be interpreted through the lens of human desire and folklore, creating an enduring enigma that blends geological reality with the persistent hope of discovery. Conclusions. The examination of allegedly cursed objects and unexplained historical mysteries reveals a multifaceted landscape where verifiable facts intertwine with compelling narratives, human psychology, and the limits of scientific understanding. Whether they are products of deliberate narrative construction, psychological projection, the limitations of historical evidence, or genuine scientific anomalies, they collectively serve as powerful reminders of the vast unknowns that continue to captivate human imagination across generations. The report underscores that while some curses are demonstrably human constructs, the human fascination with the inexplicable remains a potent force in shaping folklore, driving scientific inquiry, and influencing cultural narratives. The report demonstrates that the existence of a curse or mystery can manifest in various forms. As a tangible object with a fabricated but influential backstory, phenomena such as the uncanny valley effect and pareidolia contribute to the attribution of malevolence to inanimate objects like dolls. The scarcity and ambiguity of primary evidence, as in the case of the Roanoke colony, leave historians with multiple plausible but unproven theories. The Mary Celeste exemplifies how a compelling fictional narrative can embed a historical event into public consciousness more effectively than factual investigation, demonstrating humanity's preference for intriguing stories over mundane resolutions. Even in cases like the Dyatlov Pass incident, where scientific analysis points towards natural phenomena, the bizarre details and initial lack of transparency continue to fuel speculation, highlighting the complex interplay between natural forces, human vulnerability, and psychological reactions to extreme stress. The wow signal stands as a testament to the scientific quest for the unknown, a genuine anomaly that, despite rigorous investigation, remains unexplained due to the fundamental scientific challenge of non-repeatability. Confirmation bias plays a significant role, where individuals selectively interpret subsequent misfortunes as proof of a curse, as seen with Robert the Doll and the Crying Boy paintings. Furthermore, the power of suggestion and mass hysteria, often fueled by media sensationalism, can transform isolated incidents into widespread cultural phenomena. Even when the original claims are later revealed as hoaxes or coincidences, it's a phenomenon amplified by media and collective belief, or as a genuine historical anomaly awaiting a definitive explanation. A recurring theme is the profound influence of human psychology in shaping these narratives. Conversely, some mysteries persist not due to supernatural forces, but due to the inherent challenges of historical inquiry. The enduring allure of these cursed objects and unexplained mysteries lies in their ability to challenge our understanding of the world. Whether they are products of deliberate narrative construction, psychological projection, the limitations of historical evidence, or genuine scientific anomalies, they collectively serve as powerful reminders of the vast unknowns that continue to captivate human imagination across generations. The report underscores that while some curses are demonstrably human constructs, the human fascination with the inexplicable remains a potent force in shaping folklore, driving scientific inquiry and influencing cultural narratives.